Hey Johannes, thank you very much for that introduction. Hey guys, I'm really happy being part of your journey today at that conference. And when I got invited, I was very happy because in the last 15 years of my life, I worked in the field of tech. And what I see is that tech is empowering the world. And in the last 1.5 years, we saw that although the world had to shut down IT systems that were empowering the world. I saw that in the field of society, people saw for the first time how powerful IT is in the digital world. We saw something like the momentum of the digital world. And now it's totally up to you guys in the field of data, in the field of infrastructure and innovation to keep that momentum up. Because now it's a world where we know that change can happen that fast. But we need systems which are empowering the world no matter what happens out there. And this is your part. This is your job. This is something like being a superhero, so who totally operates in silence, but people know, hey, I can trust the systems. It's working. It's up and running. It's like going into your flat and knowing that the electricity is up and running. Only in the moment when electricity is down, you totally know, oh shit, there is so much technology behind it. And the same it goes with everything in the field of data, infrastructure, and innovation in the field of tech. And today I want to talk about the power of IT, about the responsibility of IT, but on the other side, I also want to talk about hopes and dreams and what it means to grow up in a world of technology and the possibilities of it. I grew up in a refugee camp when I was 3 years old. And when I started to go to school, everyone asked me, Ali, what is it what you want to do with your life? And the problem is when you're 13 years old, when you're 14 years old, and you have no idea where to go, you are sometimes afraid about the future. But I always had dreams and ideas inside of my brain and my heart. And when I was 14 years old, I think I was 14 years old, I said to my teachers, hey guys, I would love to have something like a handbook of life stories, with the stories from people from all around the world, because only then I could see all of the opportunities out there. But when I was 14 years old, there was no such thing called the internet. The world was not globally connected like we know it these days in society. And therefore my teachers, the expert of the time, they told me stuff like, Ali, this is not going to work. How do you want to collect stories from people from all around the world? They thought about the real book. They thought that I want to travel the world to collect these stories. And they told me, Ali, this is too expensive. How should that work? This is not possible. And by the way, if your idea is that great, maybe someone else have something like invented it in the past. You know, when you have ideas, people are telling you this is not going to work. But the other thing which also happened in my life was that at the same age, 13, 14 years old, my parents broke up. And it was a shock for me, and I started to stutter. I stuttered for more than 10 years of my life until I was 25 years old. And when you're stuttering in school, when your name is Ali, you're a refugee, this is not the best entry point into any career. And I was so afraid about the final exams in school that 6 months before my A term, I quit school. I was a school dropout. And until today, I worked in more than 40 jobs because on the one side, I was curious. On the other side, I had no idea what to do in my life. But there was one thing I learned when I was a kid, and I learned it from my father. He told me, Ali, you know, it's totally up to you what you are doing with the opportunities of your life. Everyone has opportunities, but you have to decide if you want to use it or not. It's totally up to you. You have a big responsibility for yourself and for society and for the people around yourself. And there was one thing which happened after I was a school dropout. There was one thing which totally changed my life. And it helped me to empower my dreams and my ideas. And it was that book by David Allen. And the book is called Silicon Valley. It was the first time I read stories about pioneers, about people out there who are using technology to empowering the world. And it was the first time I heard about Oracle. I heard the story of Larry Ellison about databases, infrastructure, technology, innovation, and I was totally hooked, guys. I was a school dropout who was a refugee in Austria. People told me all of your dreams and ideas, having a handbook of life stories with stories from people from all around the world is not going to work. All of this appeared like this because I found the stories of real pioneers of the tech world. And at that moment I said to myself, I want to have the same thing. And I was working in so many jobs. I was cleaning floors, I was working in supermarkets and stuff like this, okay? But this curiosity inside of myself, it became bigger and bigger. And therefore, alongside my full-time jobs, being a floor cleaner, I started to do my studies in the field of computer systems, distributed computer systems. Every day I was cleaning floors, and at night I was going to the university. I finished my bachelor's degree in the field of distributed computer systems with the focus on software engineering. Because I said to myself, these are the things which are empowering the world. After that, I started to work in many large tech companies. But the job I loved the most was working at that time at Sun Microsystems, where I was an engagement manager. And when I was working at Sun, I saw that technology is not only powering society, also businesses. And at the same time, I thought about my own childhood and how important it is to work with young kids. Therefore, I also started to work as a teacher. And while I was working with the kids, I always asked them, guys, so what is it what you want to do with your life when you grow up? And you have to understand at that time, it was, I think, 2010 around, the internet was around. The world of technology was everywhere, in our mobile pockets and yeah, it was everywhere. But when I asked the kids, what is it what you want to do with your life? They told me, we have no idea. And I saw that technology is amazing, but you also have to use it for something great. And I said to myself, hey, these kids, they have mobile phones. They are connected to the world with the internet, for example, but they have no idea where to find the right things. And at that moment, I thought about this idea I had when I was a kid, the Handbook of Life Stories. And with the help of software and the infrastructure around in the world, with technology being very cheap sometimes, I started to create this idea. What to do, the Handbook of Life Stories. I bought myself a little camera for around 400 euros. I started to create a large website. I used so many technologies around, and one day, around 10 years ago, I started a little website. At that time, it was a little website with only 17 stories. So with inspiring people I met on the streets. And I said to these guys, hey guys, I want to have your stories on my platform for young people who have no idea what to do. And in the beginning it was an idea, but when you use technology in a very good way, when you start to scale it up, then you can open up your content, for example, in my case, to the whole world. And 10 years ago it was just 17 stories, and today what you do is a platform with more than 7,000 stories from people from all around the world, from more than 100 nations. And the platform is reaching out to millions of young people every month who are using the platform for inspiration and job orientation. When they have the question in their life, what is it what I can do with my life? And in the beginning it was just a little idea, then it started to grow. The technology helped us to scale up, and today it's a company with people from more than 15 nations who believe in the future. And in the last few years, my job was traveling the world and showing companies what it means to work with young people, being someone who speaks to different generations about how to create a future. And what I also do is that 50% of my time I am in schools. I talk to kids about the future. And a lot of these kids, they have parents at home who are telling them, forget the future, for you and your talents, this is not going to work, on something like this. And my job is to go there, empower the kids, and to show them, guys, this is the best world you're living in with the greatest opportunities. Of course, when I go there, it's more like a rock show. You see it in the video at the corner, yeah. And when we go there, it's something like a rock show, and we talk to them about the job market out there, about the possibilities, about the things they can do with the world. And whenever they start to ask me questions, the first question is always the same: Ali, what is the future going to be? How is it possible for someone like me being part of the future? Where should I go? And I can tell you at What You Do, we talked to more than 7,000 people from all around the world. And they always told us, the successful people, the people who were happy, they told us always the same thing. Try to find a job where you know you are leading yourself with your own why. And the why, your purpose, it should be something where you know you're affecting the life of other people in a good way. And when kids are asking me, okay, Ali, affecting the life of others, where should I start? One of the things I'm always telling them is, guys, take a look at the field of technology. What we saw in the last few years is that our life as we know it in society, it's based on technology. No matter if we're going to a bank, we talk to people, we're calling someone, we're inside of our own business, we're working with computers. The underground layer, it's called technology, it's called data, it's called infrastructure. And I'm telling them, guys, if you want to have a better future, try to find a job in the field of data, because that field is a field which is, it's going to be responsible for a very sustainable future. Because also in the field of tech, when we talk about green tech, people maybe in society, they don't see it. And as I said before, it's like being a superhero in a world where people have no idea that you operate in silence. And when kids are asking me, Ali, how can I have an impact in the world? I always am telling them, guys, stay young in your thinking, question everything about the world, because what we saw in the last 1.5 years is that in this world, so nothing is for sure. But you can have an impact on the life of other people. When you choose a job and a field of work where you know that you're enabling the world. And technology for me, so I have to tell you, it helped me to bring my dreams, my ideas into the world. And when I was working at Siemens and then at Sun Microsystems and today as someone who's working in the field of tech with a lot of startups out there, what I see is that we have the best world ever. To be honest, it is amazing. And for example, at the moment I'm talking to you guys through a camera over the internet. This is magic. This is crazy. When I was 14 years old, no one was able to imagine a world like this. And you guys are responsible for keep that world up and running. And today, when you're coming together in this conference, it's not only about solutions, about technology, about maybe the new features in one of the software or hardware or infrastructure product. No, it's about talking about responsibility. It's talking about how you guys are empowering the world. And when I was working, for example, as a DBA in the field of databases at Siemens, I can tell you sometimes you feel lonely because you're alone with the machine. But when you understand how your work, how your job is empowering the life and the job of other people, in that moment you have your purpose. And I will tell you one thing, you are the experts of the future. You are the experts of the things you do. But you have to understand, if you want to have a better future, you have to understand how important you are. You have to understand your responsibility, and you have to understand that you're a role model. And sometimes people are telling me, yeah, Ali, how should I handle the world? How should I do that? And I always tell the people, do the things you do with responsibility. Because what we have these days is a world where people are always telling me, the world needs to change, the world needs to change. And I always tell the people, guys, the world, you are the world, because you are part of society. And if you want to have a better future for yourself, you have to take action on the responsibility you have in the field of society, as a member of society. And I think it was a year before Corona. I attended a tech conference and people were only talking about the products. Then during Corona, I saw that the same people who were only talking about the products, they were talking about their responsibility, because they saw that society needs them. And as I said before, when the world is shutting down, you guys are keeping up and running all of the systems which are very important for us. This is the thing I want to tell you. You're a role model for a lot of people out there, especially for young people. If you understand that what you do is important, like, for example, keeping electricity up and running, being a doctor in a little town, in that moment you see that it's more than a job. I still remember when the whole Corona thing came up, the grandparents of my little daughter, so I have a daughter, she's 2 years old. The grandparents of my little daughter, they were afraid on the one side, but also very, very angry about everything that happened, the shutdowns and so on. They said to me, oh Ali, for us it's not possible to see our granddaughter. And I told them, guys, I will send you 2 phones. We have the internet around. We can make a video call. And the first time they used this new technology for them, with the help of the internet and the infrastructure we have in this world, they started to cry. They saw their granddaughter. They were like, wow, that's possible with these things? In that moment, they felt a new way of relationship and connection. And what I saw is that before the whole Corona thing, they only saw it as technology, but then they saw it as something they wanted to use every day. Because they wanted to keep in touch, they wanted to keep the relationship up and running. And this is the thing I want to tell you. Although the world out there is not seeing you as a superhero on the title of a magazine, for example, you are there. You're doing a great job. What you do is very important. And as long as we understand that the field of data and infrastructure is responsible for this globally digital empowered world with this momentum we have, as long as you understand this, guys, you are creating the future. And therefore, I really want to thank you. And now back to Johannes. And guys, thank you for the invitation. You're amazing.